In just a matter of days, it feels like the Middle East has gone from a low simmer to a full-on boil. Tensions that have been bubbling under the surface for years, well, they've just erupted into the open, and now the whole region is teetering closer to a major war than it's been in a very, very long time. So what on earth is going on, and how did we get to this point? Let's break it down. And that really is the question on everyone's mind, right? From world leaders to people just watching the news. Are we standing on the brink of a much bigger war? The thing is, there's no easy answer here. This isn't just one simple conflict. It's more like this tangled web of rivalries and alliances that could honestly pull everyone in. So to even begin to see where this is all headed, you've got to understand what's at stake. Okay, so right at the epicenter of this whole earthquake, you've got three main players: Iran, Israel, and of course, the United States. It's this incredibly tense situation where every single move one of them makes immediately triggers a reaction from the other two. And those reactions, they send shockwaves way beyond the Middle East. If we really want to get a handle on what's happening now, we have to look at the history, at the really deep-seated issues pushing all of them. So let's start with the core conflict. To really understand a fire, you have to look at what's been fueling it for so long. And this crisis, it absolutely did not just pop up out of nowhere. Nope. It's built on decades of hostility, a long, simmering shadow war that's been fought just out of sight, especially between Iran and Israel. So here's where the real friction is. On one side, you have Israel, which for years has looked at Iran's growing nuclear program and its advanced missiles and seen them as, well, a threat to its very existence. Now, on the other side, Iran's response has been to build up what it calls an axis of resistance. What does that mean? It means they've been backing groups that are hostile to Israel. Think Hezbollah in Lebanon or Hamas in Gaza. The strategy is to essentially surround Israel with its allies. And all of this has created this undeclared, long-running war that's been fought with everything from cyber attacks to secret operations. But, and this is the key point, that shadow war has just burst out into the open. All of a sudden, we're seeing a huge increase in direct attacks and counterattacks. This isn't happening in the margins anymore. The whole thing has shifted from a simmering Cold War to a very hot, very active confrontation. And that escalation is exactly why everyone is so worried right now. Now, let's talk about America's role, because this is definitely not just a two-player game. The United States is a huge piece of this puzzle. You see, the U.S. has this incredibly strong, long-standing alliance with Israel, which means that whenever tensions like this flare up, Washington inevitably gets pulled right into the middle of it all. People often call the U.S.-Israel relationship an ironclad alliance. And what that really means, in practical terms, is that when Israel feels it's facing a major threat, it knows it can count on getting some serious military and strategic help from the United States. And honestly, that backing has been one of the most important factors shaping politics in the Middle East for decades. So, with things heating up, what has the U.S. done? Well, it's been flexing its military muscle, moving aircraft carriers and fighter jets closer to the region. The official reason is deterrence. It's basically sending a very loud, very clear message to Iran to back off. But, and this is a huge but, there's a massive risk here. The very action that's supposed to prevent a war could actually end up being the spark that starts one. It's a real tightrope walk. And that brings us to the global stakes. Because make no mistake, this is not just a regional problem. The chances of this conflict spilling over and having a major impact on the rest of the world, well, that's very, very real. Just think about it like a chain reaction, like a line of dominoes. First, the direct fighting between Israel and Iran keeps going. Then, the next domino falls. Other countries in the region start feeling like they have to pick a side. Before you know it, critical shipping lanes, the ones that carry a huge amount of the world's oil, are under threat. And what happens then? Oil prices go through the roof. And just like that, a conflict that started thousands of miles away is suddenly affecting economies and hitting people right in their wallets all over the globe. And because the stakes are so incredibly high, you're hearing a pretty unified message coming from the rest of the world. From leaders in Europe, in Asia, everywhere really, the message is clear: de-escalate. They're all urging everyone involved to just take a step back from the edge and let diplomacy have a chance to work. All right, so what happens next? That really is the most critical question, isn't it? Where does all of this go from here? The truth is, we are in an incredibly sensitive moment. It's really delicate, and what's going to happen next is, well, it's anything but certain. When you really boil it down, it feels like the region is standing at a fork in the road, with two very different paths ahead. Path number 1 is de-escalation. That means diplomacy, restraint, everybody deciding to pull back from the brink. Path number 2, well, that's more escalation. And that road could lead to a really devastating full-scale war across the entire region, with consequences that are frankly impossible to predict. Look, the next few weeks are going to be absolutely pivotal. The choice is being made right now, whether it's in quiet diplomatic back channels or intense military command centers. Those are the decisions that will decide which of those two paths we go down. And for now, pretty much the entire world is just watching and holding its breath. So that brings us right back to the question we started with. Could this all spiral into a much larger war? The potential is absolutely there. All the pieces are on the board for things to get much, much worse. But at the same time, the opportunities for diplomacy, for someone to choose restraint, those are there too. The final answer to that question? It's being written as we speak.